Well, the Irwin Union Bank branch in Kalamazoo has a new name on the front of the building, and, well, it's new to us, not necessarily new to a lot of folks. First Financial Bank, and here to talk about that is the President and Chief Executive Officer at First Financial. Good morning, Claude Davis.
Good morning.
Thanks for being with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, we chatted yesterday with the FDIC about how these things work. And when a bank fails, there are other banks that have expressed interests in assisting and picking up where those banks leave off. And First Financial happened to be one of those.
We were, and this is our second deal that we have done with the FDIC, and it's actually a very good process. It ensures that no depositors lose any money and that clients continue to be served. And we think we'll be served better because the assuming institution, in our case First Financial, is stronger financially and able to offer both deposit services as well as lending services to the local community.
Well, and let's talk about First Financial and the history of the bank.
Sure. We were founded in 1863 just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, and which continues to be our headquarters. And we have been a long time Ohio bank where we've had operations focused in Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, certainly now Michigan, as well as 5 additional states which were a part of the Irwin acquisition. We're approximately $7 billion in total assets, very highly rated by all of the independent bank rating services, such as Bankrate.com or Street.com or any of the independent services that consumers can check out.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been in a growth mode. Even though it's been a tough economic time, we feel like now is a great time to take advantage and grow our business.
Yeah, and let's talk about that at the risk of asking the obvious. What's the advantage for First Financial to swoop in and help Irwin Union's customers?
Well, the advantage is that we're able to do it for our shareholders in a way that's financially very attractive. We actually are getting a discount on the assets that we purchase, and we're assuming the deposits for very little in the way of a premium. And, that's true for all of the FDIC-type deals, and that's important so that you'll have other banks that are interested in making sure that the banking system is kept safe and sound and that clients are taken care of. For us, it's an attractive way to expand our footprint and market share, either in markets we're already in, which was the case in some of the Irwin markets,
mm-hmm.
or in new markets for us, like Kalamazoo, where we can expand our presence now in a tougher economic period so that as the economy improves, we're able to grow and expand that business in those marketplaces.
Is there a thought that First Financial will expand its presence in Kalamazoo beyond that which Irwin Union had begun?
We are more of a retail-oriented bank than what Irwin was. So our interest in any market that we're a part of is to have a very strong retail banking presence, which means typically branches, as well as a good commercial banking presence.
Mm.
What we need to spend, the next few months doing is looking at each market that Irwin was a part of that we were not already in, and really understand what the opportunities are in the market. Do we need to expand and add more branches or not, and then make an individual market assessment. So I would say it will be under review and study over the next few months.
Are there advantages to that when you're looking at a state like Michigan, which is credited with having one of the toughest economies out there?
Yeah, I would kind of suggest, I know Michigan has had its challenges, but as has Ohio and Indiana, parts of Kentucky that we're a part of. And, I would say to you that now is probably the best time to enter a market that has been more economically stressed, especially in a deal like this where we have guarantees on the asset side, because you can, in terms of making new loans, you can lend into a market that is stressed, but that you understand is stressed. Many times banks are making loans, in this cycle in 2005 and 2006 in a very upbeat economy, only for those loans to go bad in 2008 or 2009.
Sure.
When you make loans in a more difficult period, I wouldn't say it's easier, but you certainly understand the landscape better. And we think it's a better time to start a franchise.
Well, and some of the perspectives on what's going on nationally with the economy seem to suggest the recession is over and there's a bit of recovery that's now visible. Do you see that too?
I would say we see signs of stabilization.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we see signs of growth yet. Now, I understand their point about technically we may see growth from a combination of some of the stimulus activity at the federal level, and because of the fact that commercial companies have let their inventories get so low, whether that be in autos or other types of consumer goods, that they'll have to begin to manufacture more and rebuild inventories. But we're not quite honestly seeing a growth yet in what I would call the demand side of the economy.
Right.
Ultimately, what we have to have for the economy to grow on a sustained basis and for unemployment to improve dramatically. So I'm still cautious that over the next 4 to 6 quarters, it's going to be slow and bumpy.
All right, and I think that sentiment is also expressed out there as well. So I think that caution is probably shared. If there are folks listening who are Irwin Union customers or were, and although the assurances have been out there about this, that this really is something they ought to look upon as a bank merger if there's a word to be chosen to help them get through it, but they still have some trepidation about it, what would you like to say to them?
Yeah, and I appreciate that question because it is an important one for people. And I know whenever a bank goes through this process, it's scary to both clients and employees. And I'd say a couple things. One is nobody will lose a penny on their deposits. We've assumed all deposits and they're safe and sound. Secondly, we are a strong financial institution, and one of the reasons why I always mention the independent rating services for people to go look at is that I'm saying, you can take my word for it or not, but if you want to corroborate my statements, then please go look at some of the independent rating services, whether it's about First Financial Bank or any other bank that you want to do business with. Those are good sources of information about how well that bank is doing, how well it's capitalized. And I think you'll find as we work through this transition that First Financial is strong, no depositor will lose any money, and we'll begin playing offense again where we're going to be looking to take in more deposits, make loans, and be a valuable part of the community.
You mentioned employees in your remarks. Are the Irwin Union employees now working for you?
They are, we probably won't be able to retain all employees throughout the whole corporation, but I would say in individual markets like Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids and Traverse City and other markets that we're in as a part of the Irwin acquisition, the majority of those employees will be retained and be employed by First Financial because they're so critical to delivering that local service that's a part of our strategy.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. And I presume that you have a website if folks, maybe they're not customers of Irwin Union or weren't, but they've heard what you have to say and want to look at your website. What is it?
Yes, it's www.bankatfirst.com, and that's bankatfirst.com. And yes, please go there. Stop by the Kalamazoo office if you have any questions. And we're thrilled to be a part of the market.
Well, we appreciate your making time for us today, too. Thank you. Claude Davis, President and Chief Executive Officer of First Financial Bank.